Sarah Strong, who is currently the ranked #1 recruit in the class of 2024, has officially narrowed down her college choices to 3. Her final 3 are the University of North Carolina, Duke, and Yukon. Out of these 3 choices, only one of them surprised me. I never thought South Carolina was going to get Sarah Strong. There was absolutely no room for post players. Who are you benching between? Fagan, Ashlyn Watkins, Chloe, and Joyce Edwards. Not to mention Adele Tack will eventually return from her injury. And to be completely honest, her play style doesn't fit South Carolina's anyway. I think Joyce Edwards fits Dawn Staley's system a lot more, so I don't think this is something South Carolina fans should get too down about. But it is ironic that she is guaranteed to go to a rival school. That's tough. LSU is in a similar situation. There was no room at the post player position. The odds of Angel Reese staying in college an extra year are extremely high. I don't know Sarah Strong personally, but from what I've seen, she seems like a private person that doesn't want a hovering spotlight over her 24/7. So LSU never really made sense to me. Oregon has been an absolute dumpster fire ever since Sabrina left, so there was no chance she was going there. I think Louisville had a decent chance because she would basically be guaranteed a starting position and slowly become a franchise player there. But there were schools in her home state that offered the same thing. The one that absolutely shocked me was NC State being ruled out. If you were able to place money on where a recruit hypothetically could go, I would have picked NC State. It checked all the boxes. She would have been the hometown hero. In terms of her play style, it's the perfect fit. She would basically be in the exact role that Mimi Collins is in right now. Westmore's track record of player development has been very good, so there wouldn't be any concern about her talent being wasted. Sarah Strong would easily make NC State a title contender next year, and she would be a big part in making that happen. And her dad played college basketball at NC State. I'll get into this later in the video, but this makes me think she's going to Yukon. If she was going to pick a college in North Carolina, it's hard for me to believe it wouldn't have been NC State, for the reasons I just said. Let's get into the 3 places she narrowed down her choices to. I'll first talk about UNC. I think out of the 3, North Carolina easily has the worst situation. I would be very surprised if it did end up being North Carolina. I'm going to try to not completely dunk on UNC, but I just don't see the draw. It's not a reach to say Courtney Banghart is by far the worst coach between her, Gino, and Kara Lawson. When you compare underclassmen and incoming recruit talent of Yukon and Duke to UNC, they definitely have the edge. Unless they get some major unexpected transfer in the next few years, Sarah Strong would bare minimum have to be a first-team All-American level player for this team to have a chance of winning a national championship. North Carolina's player development leaves a lot to be desired. Deja Kelly has had 0 improvement since her sophomore year. In some cases, she got worse. Alyssa Utsby shares the same story. Her game peaked as a sophomore. When you are at a program for 4 years, this should not happen. There's one upside, and it's that there's a 99% chance Sarah would be the focal point of the offense. And if she somehow makes North Carolina a serious threat in the ACC, she will not only be a hometown hero, she would be a UNC legend. But I can't see her going here. Who knows, maybe in 2 weeks I'll get laughed at for saying this. But I would be very, very surprised. I think Duke could be a very interesting situation. I did a video on Toby Fournier on how I think she'll do at Duke, if they somehow get Sarah Strong to join her. It's going to get real. Nasty up in Durham. They already had a strong recruiting class and had some solid pieces to build around. If Toby and Sarah just even live up to half of their potential, that's easily a top 10 team and could make a lot of noise in the tournament. Duke already has one of the best defensive teams, and with Sarah Strong, they would be adding a 3-level scorer. Combine that with the fact they would have a deep bench, Sarah and Toby Fournier would complement each other very well. Sarah Strong's perimeter abilities would open the lanes inside for Toby Fournier, and Toby's dominant paint presence would make teams nervous about guarding the 3-point line too tight. Duke has nowhere near the fanfare Yukon has. But I think Duke will grow in popularity very soon, and Sarah Strong would only accelerate that. One thing that gives me pause is that Duke is shifting their team to athletic players who can guard multiple positions. Sarah can do a lot of things, but those aren't her strong suits. It's important to note that in multiple interviews, Sarah Strong has said that she wants to go to a good academic school. This is a huge advantage that Duke has over the other colleges. Last but not least, University of Connecticut. Yukon fans have practically been begging for Sarah Strong for the past 2 years, and it's not hard to see why. Yukon badly needs more front court players. Paige Beckers being at the 4 position is not sustainable. Out of the 3 teams left, she fits Yukon the best. Her play style is perfect for Yukon's system. There's no risk of her potentially not synergizing well, and she's all but guaranteed a starting position. Sarah Strong would basically be a better version of what Dorka Juhas was for Yukon. In terms of competing for a national championship, Yukon can be in the conversation if everyone stays healthy, which is by far the biggest downside in this situation. Yukon has been absolutely plagued by injuries the past few years. I'm torn between Yukon and Duke in terms of where I think Sarah would go, because both situations are great. I would not be shocked if she went to Duke. It's one of the most prestigious academic schools in the country. She will be able to stay in her home state. They have a very young, talented core, so they will be competing with the top teams for the foreseeable future. Her play style isn't a perfect fit like it is for Yukon, but she would still be a major part of their success. However, if I was forced to choose, I have a feeling it will be Yukon. And it's because of the reason I highlighted at the beginning of the video. I think if she was going to choose a North Carolina school, it would have been NC State. It's not the academic powerhouse that Duke is, but it's still a good academic school. And it was the perfect on-the-court fit, and she would be in the main star there in her upperclassmen years. At Yukon, it will be easy for her to get shots off because Paige will command most of the defensive attention. Once she gets better and improves, she can potentially take over the team once Paige enters the draft. Yukon is loaded with talent at the guard position. This will make it very easy for Sarah Strong to utilize her passing abilities. Their academic program is strong too. If I had to give percentages, I would say there's a 40% chance it's Duke, 50% chance that it's Yukon, and a 10% chance that it's North Carolina. I don't see anything North Carolina can offer that Duke and Yukon won't have. If I had to guess, she'll announce where she's going during the McDonald's All-American game, because that's usually when late college announcements happen. In the off-season, I'll do a video breaking down Sarah Strong's game. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.